Hello, everybody. This is Martha with Living the One Light. Okay, today I want to talk about a really special, beautiful full moon that we have coming up on June 3rd. And in particular, I'm feeling this incredibly magical phenomenon happening in myself, in existence, that is feeling related to the astrology for sure, and also I think is just a phenomenon I'm feeling called to name and talk about in general. I'm really excited to share about it, and I'm also a little nervous to be totally honest. So, but it's time. We need to come into remembering these things. So that's part of my role, is to talk about it. And so in terms of the astrology, this full moon that we have coming up is going to be, again, on June 3rd, 2023. The moon itself will be at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and then therefore the sun will be opposite that at 13 degrees of Gemini. And this full moon is coming after the recent new moon that we just had in Taurus, and that new moon in Taurus is coming right after the two super powerful eclipses that we just had. So what I've been feeling in general through really, I mean, this has been going on for years, but I especially started to feel this energy kind of ignite on or around March 20th of this year, 2023. So on that morning, when I went into prayer, I was told in my prayers, today is the 0 point of new earth. And I've said that in a few videos, and I still feel like this nervousness to name that, because as I've talked about before, I get nervous to be totally transparent with the fullness of what's coming through in my prayers, because the human me is nervous about it. So I'm just acknowledging that. And and several of you have been saying to me, and specific ones of you, I think last week or the week before, very directly said to me, stop being nervous, please. We need you to talk about these things. So those of you who were the ones who said that to me, thank you so much, the bottom of my heart. And I heard that loud and clear, and certain things have been happening in sessions with people, in videos that I've been recording with other people that have made it, even more abundantly clear that the time is now. We need to talk about these things. So, so I'm going to be transparent in a way that I haven't really felt comfortable being before fully on these videos. And here you go. That's me meeting my own human fears and being of service in the world in the way that I think I actually really truly am being called to do. So, yeah. So on March 20th, which happened to be, when it was the equinox, and it was the new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. And 0 degrees of Aries is the very first degree of the whole zodiac. So again, every morning I do my prayers, and I went into that prayer space, and I was told very clearly by the spirit world, today is the first day, the 0 point. Today is the 0 point of new earth. Okay. I didn't know what that meant. I'm still not totally clear what that means, but I can feel it energetically. Like there's a truth to that. And actually then a few weeks later, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I listened to Pam Gregory quite often, and she was interviewing someone named Magenta Pixie. And I was hesitant to listen to this video, but I got told very clearly, listen to that video, the interview between Pam Gregory and Magenta Pixie. And what did I hear Magenta Pixie say when I turned on the video? That her guides, who she channels, she and I both channel, they've been saying to her that March 20th or March 21st, I can't remember which one, is the 0 point of new Earth. And I went, what is going on? So there's something to it. My rational brain can't explain it, but I feel it. I can feel it in my body. There's this shift happening. And I'm just trying to surrender to, that the spirit world knows more than the human me. So that's number one. Then as we moved through the eclipses, what I have been feeling is like, they are like, eclipses often feel like portals to me, and people talk about them being portals. That is for sure how those eclipses have been feeling. And I talked about this in a lot of videos where I felt like a lot of the energetic of those eclipses was really helping us to radically clear on a cellular level things that need to go. Deep level. I mean, really deep. South Node is still in Scorpio. The lunar eclipse was a full moon in Scorpio, and I could feel it in myself, really deep, like unconscious things that are not explainable on the rational linear level that needed to clear from my system in order for me to come into a new way of being, just in my structure of my being, so that I can be present for the world on this planet in the way that I need to be. And I felt it wasn't just me. It was like, this is a collective energetic and a collective opportunity and a collective calling, really, for lots and lots of us. And also what the spirit world told me in that time was, and I've said this on videos, that as we're clearing those karmic patternings and conditionings and structures, for a lot of us, what we're being called and supported to come into is this crystalline light structure temple way of being that we are. So on an energetic level, there's some reality to this way of being, that our energy is being called into remembering what it is to be a crystalline light structure being, like a temple of the divine that is of earth, that is of the divine, that is our own light, but that is in resonance with the reality that the earth also is a crystalline light being. Okay, so again, I'm, the human rational brain in me is not sure what that means, and it feels really true. Okay, so that was the eclipses. And actually that was also kind of sliding into moving into the new moon in Taurus, was really so strongly that I had that feeling leading up to that new moon in Taurus, was that the new moon, of course, was in Taurus, the North Node is in Taurus, and Uranus is still in Taurus, and there's this huge number of planets sitting in Taurus right now and on that new moon. So I was feeling the calling from the spirit world for the energetic of that new moon to be holding space for us to come into this like new relationship of ourselves as beings of earth, beings of our earth bodies, that's in alignment with that crystalline light being structure. Okay, so that brings us to the new moon. Here's what happened on the new moon for me. And lots of you, well, some of you were there live, and then some of you got the recording of this. And the recording is still available if any of you want it. So I held a new moon gathering on the day of the new moon last week. And it was a soul wisdom gathering, which I hold once a month free for members, all of the members in my infinite soul wisdom membership, which you are welcome to join for $22 a month. Try to make it very accessible. Okay, so once a month I hold these soul wisdom gatherings, and in those gatherings I channel a guided message experience from the spirit world, like a healing journey of some kind. So that meeting happened to fall on the day of that new moon. And so the spirit world wanted me to hold space for something regarding this new moon and something regarding the new earth concept. What ended up coming through, I was not expecting, and has never happened for me before. I ended up channeling the Pleiades. And the Pleiades are, a set of 7 stars in near where the new moon was. So what I felt in that was this sense of the light vibration, the light beingness of that energetic of the Pleiades, which I know very little about cognitively, just just to state that. Like, I haven't learned much about the Pleiades yet, although I'm getting to that because it's calling to me big time, as are many other star systems now. It was like the light of the Pleiades connected directly into or with the light of the heart of Mother Gaia Earth and the light of the heart of each of us. And then the light of the Pleiades came online with the light of me, the light of the earth, the light of each of us. And what whatever the spirits or the voices, that were speaking through me as the Pleiades energy, they were essentially saying, they're basically on an energetic level trying to wake us back up to what it is to be in resonance with the songs of their light, the light of the earth, the light of our own being, our own heart, our own soul, our own spirit, and really with the resonance and the ultimate balance and harmony of existence. Super powerful, incredibly powerful. Again, if you want that video, it's available. And actually the easiest way to access it would be to join my membership, which you can join just even for 1 month. And then all of the recordings of all of the soul wisdom gatherings are actually available. Anytime you join the membership, you can watch all of the videos for as long as you are a member. And those videos go back to July of last year, July 2022. So there are now, I think, probably 10 recordings in there, which you can watch all of for $22 if you want to watch them all, in a row. So that exists, and you're very welcome to that. And okay, so what has happened for me since that day of channeling the Pleiades is this entire set of energetics has completely woken up inside of me. I mean, I already have a very strong relationship, clearly, to the planets, to the cosmos. I've, like, one of my books is called Cosmos Speaks. So it's not that I don't have a strong relationship already, but I could feel it. I could feel this for about almost a year now, that there's this, the star systems themselves, the stars themselves, various things throughout the cosmos, were waiting for me to be ready, in a sense, to wake back up to them, to have a direct, like, very direct relationship to them specifically. I channel a book called The Cosmos Speaks. I clearly have a relationship to the cosmos, but this is much more specific. Like, so to channel, the Pleiades so directly was a very direct, specific relationship with the Pleiadian energetic. And I'm feeling, in not just for me, but on a collective level, like, what it's feeling like to me is that all of these star systems, all of the infinite galaxies throughout existence, the black holes, the infinite beings of all of existence throughout the whole time-space continuum, and even beyond the time-space continuum are suddenly coming back online. And that includes the infinite dimensions of the earth itself. So another thing that has been pretty edgy for me and a little scary to talk about, but suddenly it's time, so I am, is actually something I did channel about in this book, Living the One Light, and I think even in Gaia Speaks. So those are my first. These are the first 3 books of the Living the One Light series: Living the One Light, Gaia Speaks, and The Cosmos Speaks. Those are the 3 that are out on Amazon and actually on my website too. And they've been out for a few years. And for sure in Living the One Light, and again, I think in Gaia Speaks also, part of what one of the sets of spirits that comes through in Living the One Light is earth spirits. And I even feel emotional even right now talking about them, because I have a very personal relationship to earth spirits, to ocean spirits, to, I mean, clearly cosmic beings also, but there's something about the earth spirits that is really harder for me to talk about for some reason. I feel protective of them, and I think I feel protective of myself even in my relationship to them. It's very tender. It's something I, in a way, would prefer to keep like personal. and I'm worried about them being violated, I guess, is another part of it. So I say all that just to name it, so you can get it, like you can feel it in yourself, that it's a big deal for me to talk about it. And also I get it. I need to, because a lot of you have these relationships too. And this is what I've been hearing from a lot of you, more and more and more, even just in the last few days, is I need to talk about it so that you can feel comfortable realizing that this is what's going on for you, and you can talk about it, and that we all can, feel safe talking about these things. So for example, I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, really wonderful podcast with somebody named Wilderness Dawn. I will put the link to that podcast in this video. And I was not planning to talk about this subject at all, but this ended up coming up. My relationship to fairies and gnomes and ocean beings and all of that. And I said, I'm really honestly nervous to talk about this. And she said, I can't remember if it was while we were recording or afterwards, she said, people should not feel scared to talk about their relationship to fairies. Why are we scared of this? I totally agree. So yeah, and then, several of you have said to me very directly, we need you to talk about it. So here we are. So just to bring it back, I'll come back to that because there's more I want to say about that. But just to bring it back to this full moon, which is the point of this video, the full moon, like I said, is in Sagittarius. And so on the new moon in Taurus, when the Pleiades sparked awake and then channeled through me like that, I think what got ignited was many, 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 many things in me. But the energy of this upcoming full moon being in Sagittarius and being conjunct the great attractor, which I will also talk about in a second. Just the fact that the full moon is in Sagittarius, just right there, is, Sagittarius has a lot to do with quote unquote natural law. So, and nature, and our intuitive relationship with nature and with what is naturally true and honest and authentic. And how do we conceive of life? How do we make sense of the data that we perceive in a way that is brings meaning, or that has meaning that is authentic and true to each of us? And in the way that's, very, very natural to us, and in concert with Earth, in concert with the natural world. So this whole theme of coming back into relationship with the star systems, the earth beings, the ocean beings is very resonant with a full moon in Sagittarius, for sure. And then the other one, there's so many aspects going on in the sky that I could talk about, but I'm just going to try to simplify it because I think the point I'm trying to get across will come across maybe even better if I don't go into every single detail of the astrology. But one point I do want to bring in is that the full moon is going to be at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and the great attractor, which I will explain in a second, is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So this full moon will basically be sitting on the great attractor. Okay, what's the great attractor? Super cool. Maybe some of you have heard about it. Pam Gregory has been talking about it and for a long time. And Pam Gregory and Heather Ensworth both just did interviews with Julia Balaz, who does galactic astrology. And I will put a link to the interview that Heather did with Julia last week. I think I've watched it now 3 times because I'm a little bit obsessed. Okay, so in this video that that Julia did with Heather, and I actually haven't watched the interview that Julia recently did with Pam Gregory, but I'm guessing she talks about similar things, and I definitely am going to watch that video. But I, for sure, have watched the interview between Heather and Julia, 3 times or whatever, and it's amazing. Highly recommend it. But what Julia talks about in there is the 4 phenomena, and I will briefly describe them and then go watch that video for more details because it's, again, so cool. Okay, so as you're maybe familiar with, we live in a galaxy, and we're on the Earth. I mean, you're obviously familiar with that. So we are on the Earth. The Earth spins around the sun, and the sun and our whole solar system is moving through our galaxy, right? And the center of our galaxy is what our solar system and everything else in our galaxy is rotating around. So you've probably seen images of our galaxy. It's like a spiral, and it has a center that we're spiraling around. And when you look up, if you've ever seen the Milky Way in the sky, there's like a dark rift in it. And what we're seeing is actually, we're seeing the view from a certain perspective that when we look at that dark rift, that's really actually the center of what we're all, everything in this galaxy is rotating around. Okay, that center currently is located, if you're thinking of our zodiac, it's located at around 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And that point is called the galactic center. So when you talk about astrologers saying, your sun is conjunct the galactic center, what that means is that when you were born, the sun was in the same part of the sky, essentially, as that dark point in the middle of the Milky Way that our whole galaxy spins around. And that's a really, really, really powerful point. Okay. Then, this is what Julia's talking about in that video with Heather, and what she's doing a lot in her own work. Okay, so our galaxy, our sun, our solar system, is spinning through our galaxy around that point called the galactic center at about 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Then our whole galaxy is then spinning around another point with other galaxies. Okay, like watch the other video to get the details on the astronomy of it. But essentially, our sun is spinning. Our Earth is spinning around the sun. The sun and the whole solar system are spinning around the galactic center. So our whole galaxy, including that galactic center, is then spinning around a second point, another kind of black hole point. And then that whole set of things is then spinning around a third point. Okay, the third point that all of that, like, many, many, many galaxies are spinning around, is called the Great Attractor. So it's like the galactic center, which is at 27-ish degrees of Sagittarius, is an unbelievably powerful point. But go 2 notches up from that, at approximately 14 degrees of Sagittarius, is the Great Attractor, which is even more powerful, And then there's a fourth one that also is super, super, super interesting and powerful to me, that is located at approximately 2 degrees of Scorpio, which is actually currently conjunct the south node of the moon. Okay, that's like its own subject, which is so amazing to me. But I'll stay focused on the Great Attractor at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. The point being that this full moon, the moon itself, will be on the point in the sky, essentially right where the Great Attractor is, right where that black hole is, that that our galaxy is spinning around something, and that whole set of things, that whole set of galaxies, is then spinning around this other point, which is the Great Attractor. It's really, really, really powerful. And then our south node is currently sitting on this fourth point, where everything in this everything that's spinning around the Great Attractor is then spinning around this other fourth thing, and our south node is currently sitting right on that even more powerful thing. All right. Okay, so what does this all mean? I would love your thoughts. What I'm feeling in all of it, it's like this deep, powerful, radical, complete alignment of ourselves, of our earth, of the alignment, like everything is just suddenly coming into alignment and boom, resonance with these black holes, with these and they are the energetically, I feel them as just like pulling us back, straight back into source, straight back into alignment with our ability to boom, like get it on a cellular level, what we are, who we are, what this resonance is of us as earth, us as cosmos, us as divine, us as all of existence. So not just like, so us as all of the stars, us as all of the star systems, us as the Pleiades, us as the Great Attractor, us as our whole Milky Way, us as, the Andromeda galaxy, like us as anything and everything, all at the same time, through all of time, through all of space, all dimensions, infinite dimensions. In every moment, it all exists, which can feel very overwhelming and chaotic. And yet it's also the most simple truth that it is. It just is, right? It's like, when I'm in that place, it's complete, total, radical peace. And that's it. Like, that's what I feel in myself, like just stillness, radical, complete, total stillness. And all of life, all at the same time. So I just want to sit with that for a minute, because that was a lot. And I want to give you a minute to process or whatever is going on for you as you're hearing all of that, and also just give myself a minute, because I want to drop into what is what am I really being asked to say? What's the real point here next? Yeah, okay, I got it. So ultimately, what I'm being called to say, what they're trying to say here is, and this full moon in Sagittarius and all these, everything, aligning, like the full moon sitting straight on the great attractor, the south node on the shapely attractor, all of our world, our perception, our position in the cosmos right now is lining straight up so that we are boom, 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 in so many levels, just lined right up with having the opportunity to tap straight into what source itself. And we're in this moment where we're being held, I think, ultimately by ourselves, by the higher beings that we are, and by existence itself, which is who we are, to have this opportunity to boom, get it, but get it in a grounded way, right? That's really, really key here, is that this is a very grounding experience. I want to emphasize that it needs to be a grounding experience, not just a flying off into Neverland, because part of this reality is that we are Earth too. We're the great attractor, which is incredibly cosmic, and we are Earth, and Earth is also part of all of this too. So we're all of it at the same time. And it's the most radically grounding thing we can be, is to remember that we are everything, which is Earth and everything else at the same time. And so, yeah, really the message I'm feeling in all of this is that this is just a waking up to who we already are. It's actually not new at all. It's our cells know this, our being knows this. This is a way of being that we have, probably many of us have had on this earth or in other existences over and over and over and over again. It's a way of being that's really about being, remembering that we are existence. It's like the most ultimate way of being, if you want to call it indigenous. We are indigenous to life. And we are one with it all. And that remembering, this is the other key point that they're wanting me to say, that remembering is not linear typically, or it may be a little bit, but very little of it is linear. It's a remembering that comes through our whole being. So this is also related to, Haumea currently being on the south node of the moon. She's that goddess I've been talking a lot about. She's one of the Kuiper Belt objects. And she's that Hawaiian goddess of fertility who births things through her whole entire being. And to me, she's a reminder that we're being called into a way of being that is all of who we are. Like, we're not just brain, we're not just body, we're not just heart, we are all of it. We're mind, body, heart, spirit, soul, earth, cosmos, existence, all of time, all of space, every dimension, and beyond that, even beyond the time-space continuum, into the void of the nothing and the everything. We're all of it all at once. And so a lot of this is like, I hear a lot of people trying to break it down into data points, which is fine. Like, if that, I can see how that could work for certain people. For me though, it's a much more holistic sense of remembering. It's my whole being remembers it all at the same time, all as one wholeness, as opposed to trying to like quantify it or measure it really in any way. And I'm not saying that's bad. I want to name this other way of being with it that I feel like is more whole, and that will help the wisdom that's trying to wake back up in us, each of us, in our each of our unique ways. I think most of what's wanting to be remembered is not rational, not intellectual. It's just a re-becoming, a remembering our whole beingness. And it's beautiful. It's so, one of my favorite things that's moved me so deeply is hearing it waking back up in you. In, those of you who I've been meeting with, either in the groups or in one-on-one sessions, or have been emailing me, or have been, there's an online forum that you can join for free right now. So Living the One Light Circle forum, where you can share any of these experiences, and I love hearing them. And yeah, so I really am amazed and loving hearing you guys sharing with me and with each other all of these energies waking back up in you also. And this is a way of being that is who we are, is natural to us, and it's what the world really needs us to be, because we've been getting taught to use our brains and only really use our brains, and to, lots of us were really good students and lots of us weren't good students, but lots of us were trained. Well, we were okay, regardless of whether we were good students. We were certainly taught that being a good student was the right way to be. And what is valued in being a good student? It's our brain. It's an intellectual way of being. And I'm highly intellectual, I'm not intellectual. And yet what the world really, really needs of me certainly is, to be intellectually sound and have higher order thinking and bring critical thought to what I do, and not just, all of that. Sure. Yes, definitely. And really what the world needs of me is to bring all of me. And I think that's true for all of us, 99% of us. Yeah. And that's what this time is feeling like. It's waking up in me and the world, and what I'm being called to hold space for all of us. And this full moon absolutely is in alignment with that. The full moon being in Sagittarius on the great attractor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll just close with one more thought about the earth beings. I said I would come back to that. So I'll just say a little teeny tiny bit more about that. If you feel like you want to hear more about that from me, I'm definitely happy to share more. I can, share more on more videos over time. Please tell me your specific questions, because I have a lot of experience with these beings, and I've shared probably 1% of it publicly. A little bit of it is channeled in the Living the One Light book. I've said a little bit in podcasts and videos here and there, but virtually all of my experiences I've kept them private, and I'm getting it. It's time for me not to keep it private. So if you have specific questions, please directly ask me, put it in the comments here. You can email me or whatever feels right. But I'll just say on a really basic level, I have, a very deep and profound relationship with earth beings, spirits, ocean beings of all different kinds, from, and all over the world. I grew up all over the world. And so I've been to many parts of the world, not all of the world, but I've been to many, 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 many countries. I've been to many corners of this planet. And each of the places in the world I've been, there are beings who I have a very strong relationship with. And one of the main messages that they have said to me, and they did say this in Living the One Light, is that we naturally as humans have a relationship with them. That's our natural state of being, is to be in co-creative relationship with all these infinite dimensions that exist as the planet Earth. And we've forgotten it. the way that it has lived on is in fairy tales. So like in fairy tales, there are ogres and there are gnomes and there are fairies and there are elves and mermaids and all of that. Well, they're actually real, right? And a lot of us know that. A lot of you listening, I think, have your own experiences with them. I see them, I talk to them, I have very concrete relationships with them. They have ancient wisdom and ancient knowledge and medicine, actually, ways of knowing healing that they have taught me, that they want to come back into the world. And again, I feel like almost like crying because, and I think there's just a lot of layers there. They've been violated, and I don't want that to happen ever again. None of us want to do that. Yeah, so they've been hidden, and there's been like a veil put between us and them. And what I'm feeling really strongly is that needing to come back online so that we can be in this co-creative relationship with them as Earth, us as them as us, in a dynamic, beautiful, healing, mutually beneficial relationship ecosystem. That's what it is. They're part of they are part of our natural ecosystem, and it's not natural for us to be separate from them. So that's what's needing and wanting to come back online, but it needs to be done very, very carefully with a lot of integrity and a lot of deep listening and care. Yeah, so I think I'll leave it at that for this moment, but if you're curious to hear more, I would love to share more. Just tell me specifically what you would like to hear. And if you want to share, please do. And I know a lot of you have your own relationships to all of this. I love hearing about it. Really love it. And I will also name, the places in the world where I have those relationships the most strong for me personally. Definitely Scotland, especially the Western Isles of Scotland, which is where my family is from. That's where it's unbelievably powerful for me and make me cry. I would also Iceland, very strong. And here where I live in California, and specifically I live in Santa Barbara, California, and the hills here, the mountains here. Oh, I live in Goleta, very specifically. I have very, very, very strong, powerful relationships with the ones here. I'm not of this land, right? So I'm of the land of Scotland, and so it's a different relationship, but the beings here and I have a very important and strong relationship also. Yeah, those are the three that are particularly strong for me, but I've experienced and felt these kinds of beings, in many, many parts of the world. Yeah, along with cosmic beings and star systems, all of these things too. But okay, I think that's what I feel called to say in terms of all of that at the moment. And I just would love to emphasize two other things. In terms of this full moon, one other energy that's very alive in it is that the sun and the moon will actually be squaring the asteroid Lilith. So that's another energy to just pay attention to in this full moon. And I just gave a workshop on Lilith last week with Verena Burrell. It's part of our monthly goddess series. So what I talked about in that workshop, super powerful, super fascinating, is that there are actually multiple Liliths in astrology. There's the asteroid Lilith, which is what's going to be squaring this full moon. There is also the black moon Lilith, which has a true and a mean position. There is the dark moon Lilith, which is different from the black moon Lilith. And then there is also the star Algol, which is sometimes associated with Lilith as well. Algol is typically associated with Medusa, but there's a perspective on Algol that is also associated with Lilith. So in that workshop, if you're interested in learning more about the 4 cosmic Liliths, that's what I talk about in that workshop. And that's, you can access that workshop through our goddess series, which you can join anytime. You can either get a bundle of 4 goddesses, or you can join the whole year of goddesses. And the longer amount of time that you join, that you get a discount essentially for doing a longer period of time. We have a really, really beautiful, wonderful community of people in that goddess series. It's deeply moving for us. Anyway, there's more information. I'll put the link here with the video. And then last thing I want to say, if you have not signed up for the free symposium, not living the one life, Rebecoming the One, Rebecoming the One, it starts next Thursday, June 1st. Starts on June 1st, 2023. It goes for the whole month of June. Please join us. It's totally free. There are 33 or 34 talks that are free, 4 panel discussions that are free. The speakers are amazing. I can't even explain it. I have 2 more interviews I'm doing this week to complete all the interviews for the free interviews for Rebecoming the One. I'm just going to name a few. They're all amazing. Okay. But I will just name a few of the names who you might recognize. So Anne Baring is now going to be a part of it. She is a scholar. She's 91 years old. She's beyond amazing. It's an incredible honor to interview her, to be friends with her, to know her, period. Many of you know who she is. She was a speaker in Rebecoming the One last year, and as of last week, she's now a speaker this year. I met with her last week, and did an incredibly deeply moving interview with her. Just that alone, I would really love to share that with you. It's like, wow. She talks about she's actually publishing in a couple of weeks. She's publishing the channeled writings of her mother, which she felt nervous to share with the world until now. And she's now 91 years old and is now sharing her mother's channeled writings from about 80 years ago. Really powerful. And Anne herself, is an Oxford educated scholar on the divine feminine, and so we talk about a lot of different things in that interview. Just sign up just even for that. It's amazing. Then other speakers are Melanie Reinhart, Heather Ensworth, Kelly Hunter, Ari Moshe Wolf, Verena Burrell, who's does the Goddess series with me, Louise Eddington, Gemini Brett, Anne Bromley. I don't know. It's too many people. I don't want to leave anybody out. And it's just, there's 34 people altogether. They're all amazing. Please definitely join us. The overarching purpose of it is to hold a collective healing space for our collective and individual healing around our relationship to gender and sexuality. And just amazing, amazing, amazing life-changing talks, like truly. They're all free. They will all be available indefinitely. And then there will also be optional paid workshops, which I've made on a sliding scale fee. So they're hopefully very accessible, and some, all of them, again, amazing. So please click the link I will put here and join the free part if you haven't. You do not need to commit to the whole month. You do not need to commit to any of it. Actually, just come for what feels good for you. Listen to whatever talks feel right to you in any moment. They're not going to be going away. There's no, 48 hours and then you need to do a VIP upgrade. It's just there indefinitely for you to access anytime you want for years into the future. And it's truly meant to be holding a space of healing for us individually and as a collective, in guidance, honestly, with these energies I'm talking about: the earth, the cosmos, these galactic beings, the star systems. I feel it all coming into resonance and holding us. And actually, when I realized this morning is on the day that the symposium starts, June 1st, Jupiter is going to be conjunct the North Node that day at 3 degrees of Taurus, which is opposite that shapely attractor that I was talking about, you know, our galaxy goes around this point, and then that whole thing goes around this point, and then, you know, it's like the fourth layer of the black hole that everything is going around is anyway, Jupiter is going to be conjunct the North Node. It's going to be a super powerful alignment, and I just feel all of existence aligning to hold incredibly powerful space for us to radically transform, heal, come into alignment with ourselves, with our soul beings, with all of these benevolent energies that are trying to be in co-creative relationship with us, and bring our world into resonance and harmony, which is the role I think lots and lots of us are here to hold. So, okay, I think that's everything I wanted to say today for the moment. Yeah, but at the least, please join Rebecoming the One for free, and please share it with all your friends. Would love anybody and everybody to join. Please do. And I will see you soon. Be in touch anytime. livingtheonelight.com. My website has everything linked there. And my email, livingtheonelight@gmail.com. Wonderful. See you all soon.